Hi there everybody, and you're very welcome to the latest instalment of the Cuppa Culture from the South Tipp Arts podcast here at the Arts Centre in Clonmel. Well, this week I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague and friend Helena Tobin, Artistic Director of the Arts Centre here, and I was delighted to catch up with Helena for a socially distanced Cuppa Culture, where she gave me a rundown of everything that's coming up in this year's programme, late though it may be in kicking off. We're really excited about the projects that we have coming this year, and we hope you'll be as excited too. Helena, you're very welcome to the Cuppa Culture.
Thanks,
I have a special guest. So, as everybody knows, Helena Tobin is the director here at South Tipp Arts Centre, and after a very long 2020, we're finally almost ready to announce our programme for 2021, which has had to be obviously rearranged, and that's pretty much what's been happening in the first couple of months as we try to navigate through this lockdown, to which it seems there's no end at the moment. So Helena, it's been challenging for you as the curator and programmer.
Where are we at?
Where are we at exactly, yeah.
So I suppose 2020 was pretty much a whole new ballgame for everybody, no matter where you worked in the arts or anything even. It was worldwide kind of upheaval. So I was thinking about the dates lately because last week marked the kind of first anniversary of the shutdown, and I remember it specifically because I had submitted the Arts Council application for funding for this year the evening before lockdown. And you know, it seems like not that long ago, but it also seems like decades ago since I submitted it, and yet we're still waiting to kind of launch it now this year. It's kind of after taking that whole kind of year of time between applying, being successful, getting funding, and then the delays this year in 2021. So obviously the past nearly 3 months now we've been working from home, doors have been closed and programmes have been rejigged. So the situation we're in now is that we're going to be in a position to launch the programme from April, with obviously the caveat that the first 1 or 2 exhibitions will probably be fully, if not partially, online, depending on the restrictions and how they ease. Like everybody else, I was kind of waiting with the idea that obviously my intention would be that there would be an awful lot of that. The programme would go online and content would go online, but that the ideal always is to have people be able to come and see the work. Yeah. So I suppose I just said, let's see, end of January, okay, let's wait another month and call it. But obviously I can't wait forever. So we're now going to begin, and we've been busy with other things behind the scenes as well. We delivered the Connect, Create, Inspire series of wellness and art creativity courses. That was in conjunction with Healthy Ireland Tipperary, and that went on for a month, which you well know. And then we've also been working with a kind of in a digital package. So we got funding through the Capacity Building Award from the Arts Council towards the end of last year. Ourselves, Finding a Voice and Clonmel Junction Art Festival, with the idea of us all being able to develop new websites and kind of improve our digital strategy. So we've been working on that as well. The website is currently being built and is very exciting.
It is really exciting.
Very exciting. We'll have a website that's functional, and we can put video content, we can put all our digital content on there, and we're hoping we'll have that maybe kind of fine-tuned sometime in April. So hopefully that's going to coincide with the launch of the programme. And then our first exhibition is going to be Project Clean Sweep by Dara McGrath. A lot of people out there may know Dara's work and may have come across this project before. It would have been shown, I think it's been shown in Cork, Dublin and Belfast. I think it's also been shown in Roscommon, and it has had some life in the UK as well. Dara's project focuses on looking specifically at mainly sites in the UK, but looking at sites where there has been like biological waste or chemical weapons in some way either made or disposed of, and looking at, ultimately it all looks at the same thing, which is our human impact on the land, and maybe the legacy that, like, you know, this whole, I suppose we could look at the metaphor of you might bury things in the ground, but do they stay there, and what's the impact of that. And some of the areas he's looked at have had massive issues with the land being actually damaged and not being fertile. issues with, like, you know, rivers being polluted, waters, the whole thing, you know. There's oftentimes these things, you don't see anything. The images are really, really interesting because his images are very, they're kind of sublime, they're quite beautiful, or they kind of draw you in because you're like, ooh, what's this? It's just kind of an interesting, strange looking landscape sometimes. But behind each photograph is this story of what was there before or what is buried underneath. And I think that human impact on the land and the things we can't see that are going on, I think it has a lot of resonance still. And I think even...
It's probably more topical than ever.
Yeah, and even in relation to, say, like COVID, which kind of came out of humans encroaching on habitats they shouldn't be in, you know, engaging with animals that are wild, that sense of us as a human species kind of forcing ourselves and taking land, it just kind of all ties in kind of into that idea of the impact we make and maybe what should we be looking at and not having our eyes closed to it. But
so that sounds very interesting, and that exhibition is going to be delivered fully online.
We'll be hopefully have it running from the start, like the 4th or 5th, just after Easter of April, and again we will be delivering it fully online. We will have talks, we're hoping to have a talk with Dara himself, maybe some kind of a engagement with the community through Zoom. We're going to have a number of events. We'll have a podcast interview with him, and we're also looking at another number of ways to kind of translate the show, including we're hoping to have a 360 virtual tour on our new site. All going well, so that should hopefully, not the same as being here and coming in, but it should give audiences an opportunity to engage with the work, learn more about it through the talks.
A nice way to engage, actually, even in some ways, because it's lovely to hear somebody speak about their own work. Not everybody gets to come to the gallery talk when it's on or whatever because of work commitments or family or whatever. So it's nice that people will be able to watch that.
Yeah, and I think we're going to continue that even when we can reopen. I think it's just going to be part of the course now for...
It definitely needs to be just...
art centres and what we deliver to the community, that we were already doing a lot with the podcast and things like that. But I do think there's going to be an expectation now that everyone maintains that level of online content. And it does mean that if you can't get to see the show, you can still engage with it, even if you're up in Donegal or you're in the UK or, you know, you're travelling or whatever it might be. So I think there's something to be said for that. We'll be continuing that for the rest of the exhibitions,
And then after Dara, in May, we have like a massively exciting project. Not that Dara's isn't exciting, but this, as fellow Kailaka, I suppose, maybe, we're very excited about the next project.
Yeah, so the next one in May, I'm very excited about it also, is from the collective called Na Kailaka. So people may have come across them. They were kind of mentioned in the Irish Arts View just gone this month. And then they also, I think, turned up in an article at the end of last year, maybe the Irish Times or something. Anyway, Na Kailaka are a collective of 8 women, all over the age of 65. And they include artists, writers, filmmakers, you know, and they came together purely out of a sense of, 1, being interested in collaborative work, and 2, looking at questions of ageing and visibility and feminism. Like the Na Kailaka translates as the hags, and is kind of a play on that idea of an older woman being seen as a hag. Well, also there's that kind of idea of a hag or a witch, not necessarily seen as an oracle. You know, there's this cultural thing, and potentially sitting in a corner wrapped in a potato bag. You know, there's this kind of sense of people that age then are kind of going, I don't feel like that. Like, I have so much creativity still in me. I'm still really active. How do we change how we're seen? So it's kind of in connection with Bealtaine as well, and a number of the participants and members of the collective are involved in Bealtaine also, and that really focuses on visibility for people who are older.
Aging, positive age.
Exactly. You're like going, like I know people in their 80s that might be able to kind of beat me around the block, you know?
For sure.
So, and also the knowledge they have and the expertise and things like that, the sense of it not being lost, or just, oh, you're over the hill, we're not going to look at you. And it tends to happen more to women than men in the arts anyway. So I think it's something that really
I think in all walks of life, women just become a little more invisible as they age.
And I think that's definitely one of the things we're looking at. And part of there'll be an exhibition and a symposium, which
very nice.
we were hoping would be in person, but it's going to be at the end of May, so it's quite clear now that the symposium will have to be online. So we're working on that, which is another challenge. We haven't streamed a one-day event like that online, and there'll be some pre-recorded pieces and some visits to studios, some workshops, as well as then kind of keynote speeches and kind of roundtable discussions. So I suppose the members of Nacailica, for anyone who's interested, are Terry Rudin, who's based here in Tipperary. You've got Barbara Friedman, who's based in Belfast. She's an artist. You've got Gerda Chellier, who's based in Wicklow. Patricia Hurl, who's a painter based in Tipperary as well. Maria Levine, a painter based in Wexford. Carol Nielsen, who's a jazz composer, which people may have come across around the area before performing. And then we've also got Catherine Marshall, who is a curator and art writer. So that kind of shows the range of people.
Such a range of
filmmakers, painters, writers. So there's going to be musicians. So there's going to be an interesting play on the work and how the work shows the collaborative processes that they've been working on. Now, obviously, they haven't been able to work together for a while, but they were able to partake in a residency in like September, that little mini window of freedom we had last year. They were able to go to Ballinglen and do a residency there. So a lot of the work we'll see here in May will have come from
Ballinglen.
It will have begun there. There'll be individual pieces and collaborative pieces. So quite excited to see how that.
Really, really exciting. Yeah. I suppose the next big thing is our open call in conjunction with Clonmel Junction Arts Festival.
Yeah, so this year we're partnering with Clonmel Junction Arts Festival again, and again as part of the project application we put into the Arts Council as part of that funding, both Junction and ourselves got funding to have this open call submissions out there to kind of for two different projects. One is for a temporary public piece or outdoor piece. It could be installation, sculpture, whatever you'd like to call it. And then the second brief is for a exhibition/installation here in the gallery. So there are two aspects to that. The deadline for that is Monday. So if anyone is listening and wants to rush in an application over the weekend, there's still time. That's going to be, we'll be deciding on the persons that will receive that award next week. We'll be doing the assessments, and then that exhibition here will occur with the Junction Arts Festival in July, and the plan is that the installation or exhibition will run here at the centre from July until kind of late August, and then we'll roll into the next one.
Yeah.
So the September show then is part of our residency. We specifically looked for funding for a residency that asked this two specific artists to come and engage with, I suppose, Tipperary or the place.
I think this is really exciting as well, the type of work that the two girls are doing.
So the two artists are Christine Mackey and Martina O'Brien, and I had kind of specifically looked at this project with them in mind, and I pitched the project with them in mind, saying that I really enjoyed both of their approaches to looking at place and looking at ecology and geology and all these things of land, and I wanted to try and get a different take on it, and I wanted to see if we could have them come down for like a 2-week residency where they'd engage with the community and engage with, say, biologists and people who are interested in the ecology and the environment, and then, you know, have them go back to the studio, make a new body of work and exhibit it later in the year. Now, obviously, the residency aspect of the residency hasn't been achievable yet. However, they're both working away remotely, and they've been engaging with people in the community, and I've been putting them in touch with various people, and it's quite exciting, I think, what they're going to do. Christine's work has for a long time looked at this idea of the seed, specifically the seed, and for this show her plan is to continue that idea. There's going to be hopefully a kind of a social engagement aspect, as well as then new work created which will maybe look at specifically extinct plants, native extinct plants that would have been in the region and in Ireland, where she'll do drawings and studies of them, and also looking at the landscape here and looking at surveys that have gone in the past and what state the flora and fauna are in now, and using that to, I suppose, inform her work and what she delivers. So I'm hoping that that sounds really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to that kind of engagement aspect as well. And then Martina's work is, this time round, she's kind of been doing a lot of work over the years looking at data modelling and climate modelling, and she did kind of residencies and with Met Éireann and things like that, where she looked at how can you predict the weather, and also then various other ways how lay people will predict the weather, or lay people will take notes every day of the weather in their area, and how that actually gets fed in to the data as well. So there's real data, and then there's kind of, I suppose, mathematical data.
And then you have those sort of folksy kind of predictions for the weather, like, oh, if the crow flies left on a Friday, it's going to rain tomorrow.
Yeah. So she's really interested in all that, and she's very interested in both the kind of scientific and esoterical. She likes kind of combining those things. So again, I think for this, she's working with geologists in Tipperary, and she's kind of looking at the history and the fact that the land here is underneath the bedrock is very, very ancient, and she really wants to look into aspects of that. So again, because this is all going to be new work, we don't know exactly what's going to be created.
It sounds
so
really exciting.
It's going to be really great.
Yeah. So that's September. Then into October
then we'll run that. We'll run Martina and Christina's show into mid-October, and then in late October we have our final kind of large-scale project of the year, and that's going to be an exhibition of work by artist Sheila Honan. Some many people might know her as a lecturer in LSAD, and her work specifically is lens-based, photographic and film. So her piece, The Ends of the World, will be screened as part of her exhibition, and then there's going to be new works created around that as well, which at the last time of speaking were going to be photographic light boxes and aspects like that, and maybe some other video pieces. But again, her work is interested again in the land, and that was kind of a theme. It was kind of a theme I had in the back of my head when I was looking at the year. I don't like to prescribe too much of a theme on things, but I like to have some kind of a thread that links through, or a couple of threads. So I kind of wanted there to be more females because I had more males last year. Just the way it happened. So I kind of wanted that to be balanced. I was interested in people responding to climate and the land, but more so, I suppose, like at that point, like I said, the application and the ideas, the projects developed before COVID ever hit. So it almost seems like, it seems almost dated already, before it's happened.
Talking about it for so long.
So look, I think it's going to be really good anyway. I love the fact that there's going to be lots of new work created. So it's going to either be commissioned work for the open call, or there's going to be new work created to the residency by Christina and Martina, and that there's going to be new work involved in all of the exhibitions as they come along. And then for 2022, you'll have to watch this space.
Wait and see what happens.
Look, we don't know when society will reopen, when buildings such as ourselves can reopen. Obviously, every sector is lobbying to be reopened as soon as it's safe to do so, and we'll be there hoping for that as well. But in the meantime, we've put ourselves in a position where we can hopefully deliver high quality, engaging programming online as best as we possibly can. And we're trying to find new ways to do that, and hopefully we'll be able to kind of continue that on even once the doors are reopened.
We'll leave it there, I think. That's enough to be getting along with. Now we just need to deliver it all in a nice, timely manner, and I'm really, really excited about just even behind closed doors, things just coming back to some sense of normality again, installations happening, just that buzz.
And I think as well it's important to say that we are able to do these things because we have got support from the Arts Council this year, which we don't always have, and we've also then have our ongoing support from Tipperary County Council, which means that we can deliver these larger projects, that we can enhance our digital profile and maybe reach audiences we couldn't reach before. It's really important that that kind of support continues, because when we get the ability to do things, we can actually deliver quite a lot. And it's great that those funding streams are still there for people.
Thanks a mil, and best of luck with it all.
Thanks, Emer.
And that's it for this week. If you've got any questions regarding our upcoming programme, you can send your queries to info@southtippartscentre.ie. That's info@southtippartscentre.ie. And if you'd like to get in touch with the podcast, the email address is southtippartspodcast@gmail.com. Talk to you all next time.